Chapter 16, The Cabin. Mina had never seen Papa do such hard work. The sweat glistened on his arms and face, and his shirt was soaking wet as he swung his axe to cut a tree. When it fell at last, Papa straightened up, wiped his forehead on the back of his sleeve, and smiled at Mina. He looked happy to be doing this work. Mina helped by using the hatchet to chop off the smaller branches, as Papa hacked away the larger ones. Then Papa wrapped a chain around the log and hitched it up to the yoke of oxen. Together they walked beside the oxen as the log was dragged, slowly back to their cabin site. Papa had never built a house, but as he always said, when it is necessary, one learns to do what one has never done before. When the logs were all cut, neighbors came to help raise the walls. Mina liked having so many people around working together. Anna came with her father. One of Mina's jobs was to bring drinking water from the creek. She and Anna struggled up the bank with the heavy wooden bucket and set it down in the shade of a tree. Then everyone gathered around for a drink. When it was Papa's turn, he poured his first dipperful over his head. Everyone laughed. "Now Ernst knows how to keep cool," Herr Kaufmann said. Papa laughed heartily as the water dripped from his hair and beard. Then Herr Kaufmann took the dipper and poured water over himself and some more over Herr Hessler, who grabbed the dipper and bucket and began throwing dippers of water this way and that until everyone was wet and laughing. Finally, he poured the remaining water over himself from the bucket. Mina had never seen men, certainly not Papa, act so foolish. She and Anna stood watching. It seemed that something had broken loose inside all of them. For that brief moment, they were a bunch of schoolboys at their pranks again. It was the first time Papa had really laughed since they came to Texas. But there was work to be done, logs to be cut to length and notched, and the men became themselves again and got to it. Mina held a log steady on the ground as Papa notched it on either end with his axe. Every time his axe hit, she felt the jolt through her whole body. Then the men rolled the log into position and strained together to lift and lay it in place. The walls went up slowly. By the next day, they got too high to reach. Papa leaned 2 logs against the house at an angle. Then ropes were tied to either end of a log, and it was hauled up. The side walls went up into the gables. Everyone cheered as the ridge pole was laid in place from one gable to the other. The top of the cabin had been reached. Then log rafters were hauled up and set, and long cedar shingles were nailed to them. When the heavy work was done, Mina and Papa did the finishing by themselves. Papa made up lime mortar, and they worked together at chinking the cracks between the logs with rocks and mortar. Then Mina brought stones for Papa to line the fireplace. Finally, the crack had been chinked, and Mina thought about the clock Opa had given them so long ago. "We must unpack the clock, Papa." Mina went inside the tent and found the clock at the bottom of a box, carefully wrapped in a blanket. She wound the clock and placed it on the rough split log above the fireplace. It began to tick away the minutes, and life in their new home had started. So, quick side note, whenever they're talking about the logs and how they're having to notch them, they're basically creating giant versions of like those linking logs that you stack together, and they have like a curved part and another curved part that kind of link in together. So they're doing that with giant logs and just making kind of a square pattern. And then when they talk about that ridge pole, that means that they've created the roof and they're putting a pole across the center of it that the beams on the top can kind of all lean and lock into. And when they're chinking, they're saying they have like the stones and there's gaps between all the stones that are stacked. And so they're filling that in with a mortar so that wind can't just blow through. All right, picking back up. Fredericksburg. Fredericksburg began to look like a village. Clearings were made, cabins were started and finished. Others started, more wagon trains came from New Braunfels, and the colony grew. One day after the summer heat had come, Papa and Mina were sitting on the bench outside the cabin. "Mina, I have been thinking that we need some money to buy a milk cow." "Oh, I would like that, Papa, but where will we get the money?" "Well, I have a plan." Papa puffed on his pipe. "The Verein needs wagons to haul supplies from New Braunfels. So Heinrich has agreed to sell the wagon and oxen to me, and I will work as a teamster for the Verein. What do you think of that, Mina? It means that I would be away for weeks at a time, and you would have to stay with the Kaufmanns." The thought of Papa leaving sent a pang of fear through Mina. What if something should happen and he never came back? Could I go with you, Papa? Mina asked suddenly. Now, Mina, you know our garden would go to weeds, and Herr Leyendecker will be starting his school soon. No, you must stay and take care of things. The next days passed too quickly for Mina. She wished she could hold them back and keep Papa from going away. On the day Papa was to leave, Mina got up very early and cooked bacon and cornbread for him, while Papa hitched the oxen and cleaned his shotgun. Then the time came for leaving. Come, Mina, I will take you to the Kaufmans, to their cabin as I leave. But Mina had some cleaning up to do, and besides, she did not want Anna to see her crying after Papa left. No, Papa, I will go over as soon as I finish here. Do not worry about me. Mina tried to smile cheerily at Papa as they stood beside the wagon. Very well, then, I will take my leave. Mina's throat felt tight, and she struggled to keep the tears back. Now take care of yourself and hurry back. Mina flung her arms around Papa, and he held her in his strong arms for a moment. She could not say any more, or the dam inside her would surely break. Then Papa held her at arm's length. Remember, you are my pioneer girl. Mina liked that. She looked up at Papa, smiled back at him, and nodded. I know, Papa. Papa climbed in the wagon, called, Get up, at the oxen, and the wagon started off slowly out to the road. Mina watched as Papa grew smaller. She heard him call, Ha! At the oxen, to make them go left on the road. As they turned, Papa waved. I will be back soon, Mina. Auf Wiedersehen, Papa. Mina wanted to run after the wagon and go with Papa, but she did not move. She watched as Papa turned into the road and then was gone.